My stepmother cashed my inheritance check and handed it to her own daughter. Then she smiled at the funeral. She called me the practical one, the one who wouldn't make a fuss, the one who counted and never complained. She was right about the silence. She was wrong about everything else. My father left me one thing before the lawyers ever spoke: a weathered envelope, sealed, my name in his handwriting. I didn't open it for 3 weeks. I wish I had sooner. Brenda thought a cash check was the end of it. She never asked what a bookkeeper notices on a deposit slip. She never thought about dates. But the day the bank called back, my phone rang 27 times. Brenda, crying, begging. By the end, you'll see how one impossible date changed everything. Quietly, no shouting, just truth. Stay with me. Welcome to Betrayal Diaries, where quiet people finally tell the truth, and justice speaks softly but never misses. If stories of betrayal, family secrets, and earned justice move you, you're in the right place. Now, let me take you back to where this one began. I count things for a living. That morning, I counted the days since my father died. 19. My name is Ellen. I'm 34. I'm a bookkeeper. I notice the things other people sign without reading. Brenda, my stepmother, never noticed me at all. Not once in 11 years. I sat at Harold's kitchen table that morning. His coffee cup was still on the shelf. I hadn't moved it. The room smelled of him, cedar and old paper and cold coffee. On the counter sat a weathered envelope, sealed, my name in Harold's handwriting. He'd left it there, before the hospital. Open it when you're ready, he'd said. I wasn't ready. I turned his ring on my finger instead. I should tell you about the ring. It was Harold's, worn thin on one side. I turn it when I'm thinking. I was thinking a lot that morning. Brenda swept in, without knocking. She still had a key. Ellen, sweetheart, she said, we need to talk about the accounts. I closed the binder slowly. Good morning, Brenda. Your father left things in such a mess, she sighed. Lucky you're the practical one, the one who won't make a fuss. She said practical like it was a small, useful thing, a stapler, a spare key. I didn't argue. I never do. I just noticed. Megan trailed behind her. Brenda's daughter, from before Harold, 26 and always tired looking. She didn't meet my eyes. There's a check coming, Brenda said, from the estate. Your father wanted it handled correctly. I'll handle it, I said. I handle everything. She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Of course you will. Here's the thing about my father. Harold trusted documents more than people. He taught me that at 12. Ellen, he'd say, people forget. Paper remembers. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. The check Brenda mentioned was mine. An inheritance check. $16,340. Harold had set it aside for me specifically. He told me twice. He'd told his lawyer once. I thought it was simple. A check arrives. I deposit it. Life goes on quietly. It did not go on quietly. 3 days later, I called the estate office. A woman named Patrice answered. She sounded confused. That check already cleared, ma'am, Patrice said. It was deposited on the 4th. I held the phone a moment. The 4th, I repeated. Yes, endorsed and deposited. I hadn't deposited anything. I'd been at my desk on the 4th, reconciling a client's quarterly books. I remember the date for one reason. The bank downtown was closed that day. A water main had burst. They'd emailed every client. A check, supposedly endorsed by me, deposited at a branch that was closed. I didn't say any of that to Patrice. I said thank you. I always say thank you. I hung up and turned the ring on my finger. Once. Twice. Then I did what I always do. I opened a fresh page. I started writing down dates. The deposit date. The closure date. The day Harold died. The day Brenda got a key she should have returned. The numbers didn't line up. And when numbers don't line up, someone made them lie. I looked at the weathered envelope on the counter, still sealed. My father's last words, waiting. Open it when you're ready, he'd said. I wasn't ready, but I was getting closer. That night Brenda called, warm as honey. Ellen, dear, did you sort out that check? Such a relief to have you on top of things. I watched the envelope while she talked. Almost sorted, I said, wonderful. You always were the reliable one. She hung up first. She always did. I sat in Harold's kitchen a long while, his cold coffee cup beside me, his sealed envelope across the table, a check I never touched, cashed in a bank that was never open. I want to tell you, I was angry. I wasn't. Anger is loud. I don't do loud. I do records. I do dates. I do patience. I turned the ring one last time. Then I made a decision. I would not call Brenda back. I would not ask Megan a single question. I would simply start counting. And Brenda had no idea how carefully I count. The next morning, I drove to the bank that was supposedly open on the 4th. I asked one question at the counter. The teller's face changed, and what she told me was impossible. The teller was young. Her name tag said Corinne. She remembered the 4th clearly. We were closed all day. Corinne said, "The water main." Nobody got in or out. I kept my voice level. No deposits processed. Not here. The whole branch was dark. I thanked her. I wrote her name down anyway. People forget. Paper remembers. The lobby smelled of floor cleaner and old carpet. A clock ticked somewhere behind the counter. I noticed it. I notice everything now. So the check was deposited on a day this branch was closed, which meant one thing. It wasn't deposited here at all. Someone used a different branch and lied about where. I drove home slower than usual. My hands were steady on the wheel. They always are. That's the part Brenda never understood. Steady hands frighten people more than shaking ones. That afternoon, the lowest moment came. Not loud. Quiet ones never are. Megan came to my door alone. She stood on the step, not meeting my eyes. Mom said you'd understand. Megan said, about the money. I went very still. What money, Megan? She flushed. The estate check. Mom said it was always meant for both families. She said you'd agree. Being practical. So Megan knew. Megan had the money. $16,340. My father's gift to me, sitting in her account. What did you do with it? I asked. Paid off my car. Some cards. She finally looked up. Mom signed for it. She said it was fine. She had your permission. I never gave permission. I never signed a thing. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not rage. Clarity. Megan, I said softly, did you see the endorsement? The signature on the back. She hesitated. Mom handled that part. Of course she did. Brenda handled the part with my name forged on it. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I said, thank you for telling me. Megan blinked, confused by the calm. You're not mad. I'm just sorting it out. I said, I always sort it out. She left looking more frightened than relieved. Good. She should be. I sat down at Harold's table again. The envelope was still there, sealed, watching me. The afternoon light had moved across it, gone gray. I made a list. I'm good at lists. 1. A check made out to me, cashed without my signature. 2. A forged endorsement, a federal matter, not a family squabble. 3. A deposit at a branch that was closed. 4. A stepmother who handled that part. Each line was a thread, and I pull threads carefully, one at a time, so they don't snap. That evening Brenda called again. Honey gone. Vinegar showing. Megan said you were asking questions. Brenda said, don't make this ugly. Ellen, your father would have wanted us to share. My father wanted no such thing. He told me twice. He told his lawyer once. Paper remembers. I'm not making anything ugly, I said. I'm just looking at the records. A pause. I heard her breathing change. There's nothing in the records, she said. Too fast. That was the first crack. People who've done nothing don't mention records. Brenda just told me exactly where to look. Good night, Brenda, I said, and I hung up first. For once. I turned the ring on my finger. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then I opened a banking website. I requested certified copies of the deposited check, front and back, the endorsement, the branch stamp, the date, all of it legal, all of it mine to request, as the named payee. It would take 5 business days. I could wait. Patience is the one thing I've never run short of. While I waited, I looked at the envelope. My father's handwriting. Open it when you're ready. I picked it up. It was heavier than paper should be. Something solid inside. Not just a letter. My thumb found the sealed flap. I almost opened it. Then I set it down. Not yet. I wanted the truth from the records first. Cold, documented, undeniable. Then I'd read his words. I owed him an honest accounting before his last gift. 5 days. That's all I needed. But the certified copies came back in 4. And when I saw the back of that check, I had to sit down. It wasn't just my name forged in careful looping letters. There was a second signature underneath, a notary stamp. Someone official had sworn my forgery was real. This wasn't Brenda acting alone anymore. I stared at that notary stamp for a long time. The kitchen was silent, only the hum of the old refrigerator. A notary, someone with a license. Someone who'd sworn, under seal, that I stood before them and signed. I never stood before anyone. I was reconciling books on the 4th, in a closed bank kind of week. The stamp was clear. A name, R. Callaway, Notary Public, a commission number, an expiration date. I'm a bookkeeper. Commission numbers and expiration dates are my whole world. So I did what I do. I checked. Every notary commission is public record. The state keeps a searchable list. Name, number, the exact dates a commission is valid. I typed in R. Callaway. The record loaded. And there it was. The impossible thing. Callaway's commission had expired on March 19th. The check was notarized on April 4th. A notary stamp. 16 days after the license was dead. You can forge a signature. You cannot unexpire a commission. The state's date is the state's date. Paper remembers. I turned Harold's ring slowly. Once. Twice. A third time. The worn side caught the light. Let me ask you something. Have you ever known a thing was wrong, but had no proof a stranger would believe? That's where I'd lived for weeks. Now, the proof had a date on it. This was the moment everything shifted. Brenda hadn't just forged my name. She'd found a notary willing to stamp it, a notary whose seal was already worthless. Either Callaway didn't check his own dates, or he didn't care. Either way, it was documented. And documented is forever. I opened a fresh page. New column. New thread. The notary. R. Callaway. Expired March 19th. Stamped April 4th. I needed to know who Callaway was. So I searched the name with the town. A small ad came up. Callaway Document Services. Notary signing agent. Quick and discreet. A phone number. An address 2 towns over. Discreet. That word again. People who advertise discretion are usually selling silence. I didn't call. Not yet. You don't tip off a thread before you've traced where it leads. Instead, I drove to the county records office the next morning. Public filings. Anyone can request them. All legal. All traceable. The office smelled of toner and burnt coffee. A radiator clanked in the corner. I asked the clerk for any documents Callaway had notarized in the estate's name. Harold's estate. The clerk was a tired man named Dell. Dell ran the search. He frowned at the screen. Huh, he said, more than one. My stomach turned over, slow and cold. More than one. 3 documents, all notarized by this Callaway, all in the last 2 months. 3, not just my check. 3, can I get certified copies? I asked. Sure, $1 a page. I paid in exact change. I always have exact change. While Dell printed, I thought about Megan on my doorstep. Mom handled that part. I thought about Brenda's voice. There's nothing in the records. There was so much in the records. Brenda just never imagined someone would actually read them. Dell handed me the copies, still warm from the machine. I didn't look at them there. I waited until I was in my car. In the quiet, where I could be careful. The first document was my check. I knew that one. The second made my hands go still on the steering wheel. It was a quitclaim deed. Harold's house, signed over. To Brenda, notarized by Callaway, dated 5 days after Harold died. My father couldn't have signed anything 5 days after he died. This wasn't about a check anymore. $16,340 was the small theft. The house was the real one. And on my kitchen counter, a sealed envelope in Harold's handwriting was waiting to tell me something. I drove home faster than I should have. I picked up the envelope, my thumb on the seal. I almost tore it. Then I made myself stop. One more document. There was a third in the stack. I hadn't read it yet. I set the envelope down. I unfolded the third page, and the breath left me. The third document wasn't signed by my father at all. It was signed by someone whose name I knew, someone who looked me in the eye 3 days ago and lied. It wasn't only Brenda and a crooked notary. The third signature belonged to Megan. Megan's signature on the third document, witnessed and notarized by Callaway. I sat in my car and read it 3 times. A witness statement. Megan had signed to confirm she watched me endorse the inheritance check. Voluntarily, of my own free will. She'd looked frightened on my doorstep. Mom handled that part. She'd said. She lied. Megan handled a part too. I felt the cold settle deeper. Not anger. I keep telling you that because it matters. Anger makes mistakes. Cold counts straight. I drove home and laid all 3 documents on Harold's table. The check, the deed, the witness statement, side by side, like a case file, because that's what it was now. I turned the ring on my finger and looked at the pattern. Brenda forged the signatures. Callaway stamped them with a dead commission. Megan swore she witnessed it. 3 people. 1 lie. My father's name and mine used like blank paper. I needed someone official to confirm what I already knew, not to find the truth. I had the truth, just to make it bulletproof. So I called an estate attorney, a woman named Frances Okafor. Careful voice. She asked good questions. I brought her the 3 certified documents. She read them slowly, the way I read things. She didn't gasp. People who know paper don't gasp. They just go quiet. Her office was cold. The radiator hissed under the window. Outside, rain started against the glass. This deed, Frances said finally, dated the 28th. When did your father pass? The 23rd. I said, 5 days. She set it down. A dead man cannot convey property. Ellen, this deed is void on its face. And the notary? She checked the commission number against the state site. Same as I had. Her mouth tightened. Expired 16 days before the stamp. I don't even need a handwriting expert for this. The dates do all the work. I almost smiled. Harold would have liked her. The dates do all the work. What are my options? I asked. Several. The forged endorsement is a federal matter. Banks don't forgive that. The deed is civil and criminal both. And the notary. She paused. A notary stamping with an expired commission can lose far more than a license. He may not even know how exposed he is. He advertises discretion, I said. Frances looked at me over her glasses. Discretion won't survive a date. He can't explain. I left her office with copies certified twice over. Hers and the county's. Parallel records. The way Harold taught me. One copy can be lost. Two copies are a fact. That evening I did something I rarely do. I drove past Calloway's office. Just to see it. A small storefront. Lights off. A sign in the window. By appointment only. I didn't stop. I didn't need to. I had his expired date. And the date was everything. When I got home, Brenda's car was in my driveway. She was waiting on my step. Arms crossed. The honey long gone. You've been to a lawyer, she said. Not a question. I've been a lot of places, I said. I unlocked my door. I didn't invite her in. This is a family matter. Ellen, you're going to embarrass all of us. I'm just keeping records, I said. Her face flickered. Records of what? Of dates mostly. Ihilhias, you'd be surprised what a date can prove. She left then. Fast. Gravel spitting under her tires. People run when the numbers catch up. I went inside and sat with the envelope again. Harold's handwriting. My name. The solid weight of something inside. I'd promised myself I'd wait for the full truth before opening it. I almost had the full truth now. I picked it up. My thumb broke the edge of the seal, and the phone rang. It was Frances. Her careful voice had an edge now. Ellen, I pulled one more record before close. The deed wasn't filed by Brenda. I went still. Then who filed it? Calloway, 3 weeks ago. But here's the thing. She paused. He filed an identical deed 2 years ago. Different family, different dead man, same expired stamp pattern. I set the envelope down, unopened. Brenda hadn't found a crooked notary by luck. Calloway had done this before, and my father's house was just his newest one. A different family, a different dead man, the same expired stamp. I sat with that all night. Calloway wasn't Brenda's accident. He was a pattern. And patterns leave records, more records in more places than any one person can scrub. The next morning I started building, not a story, a case. I requested the older deed Frances mentioned, a public filing 2 years back, $1 a page, exact change. It came back exactly as she'd said. A house signed over after the owner's death, Calloway's stamp, a commission that I checked had also been expired on the day he sealed it. Twice now. The same trick, twice. A man who stamped dead men's names and called it discretion. I laid the old deed beside my father's. Same language, same spacing, same crooked seal. Side by side, they stopped being two crimes. They became a method. I built the file the way Harold taught me. Cold and complete. 1. The inheritance check. Forged endorsement, federal. 2. The quitclaim deed. Signed 5 days after Harold died. Impossible. 3. The witness statement. Megan, sworn to a thing that never happened. 4. The notary. Expired 16 days. Twice over. 2 families. Each document doubled. County copy. Attorney copy. Nothing in one place. Nothing that could vanish. I turned Harold's ring while I worked. Once. Twice. The worn side warm now from my thumb. That week, the pressure came. It always does when people sense the numbers closing in. Brenda came first. Sweet again. She switches fast. Ellen, let's just sit down. Family to family. We'll fix the paperwork quietly. She smiled. Sign quickly, before you overthink it. You always overthink. I wrote down the date and time after she left. I didn't sign anything. I never sign quickly. Quick signatures are how this whole thing started. Then Megan called, crying already. Ellen, please. I didn't know what I was signing. Mom said it was nothing. You signed a sworn statement, Megan. I said gently, under a notary seal. That's not nothing. I'll lose everything. You should talk to your own lawyer. I said, not to me. And I meant it kindly. I wasn't her enemy. I was just the records. Then came the shame. A cousin called, then an aunt. Word had spread Brenda's way first. Ellen's being greedy, dragging family through courts, and Harold barely cold. I didn't defend myself. I never do. Let them talk. Talk isn't filed anywhere. Talk doesn't have a date. There was one frightening night. Brenda's lawyer, her own, not Calloway, sent a letter. It hinted I'd interfered with estate property. For an hour, my chest went tight. The house felt too quiet. What if they twisted it onto me? So I called Frances. She read the letter and actually laughed. Soft and dry. Ellen, you requested public records as a named payee and a named heir. That's not interference. That's your right. They're frightened, so they're bluffing. Let them. The fear lifted. I was legally clean. I'd been clean the entire time. That's the thing about doing it with paper. You never have to be afraid of the paper. The case was nearly whole. One step left. I had to file it where it counted. The estate court, the bank's fraud unit, the state notary board, all at once. Parallel. So no single hand could bury it. I prepared 3 identical packages, sealed, labeled, dated, and that night, finally, I sat down with the envelope. Harold's handwriting, my name, the solid weight inside. I'd waited. I'd earned the truth first, the way he'd have wanted. Now, I was ready. I broke the seal. Inside was a letter, folded once, and something heavy wrapped in cloth. The letter was short, his hand shaky near the end. Ellen, if you're reading this, they've already started. Brenda thinks I never noticed. I noticed everything. I left the real proof where only you would look. You always check the dates. Check this one. Dad. I unwrapped the cloth. It was a small recorder. The old kind. 1 button. My father had left me something, and my thumb hovered over play. Whatever was on it, Harold had recorded it himself, knowing this day would come. I pressed the button. His voice filled the kitchen. Older than I remembered, but steady. Ellen, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. And Brenda's reaching for what isn't hers. A pause. A breath. The house, the money. I left it to you. On purpose. You're the one who counts. You're the one who'll do it right. I sat very still. My father, telling me the truth from the other side of a dead man's stamp. Don't shout, sweetheart. You never did. Just lay it on the table. Let the dates speak. The recording ended. I turned the ring once. Then I knew exactly how this would finish. I didn't confront Brenda alone. I waited. 2 weeks later, the family gathered. Harold's memorial dinner. Brenda's idea. All reputation and sympathy. The same aunts. The same cousins. The ones she'd whispered to. I came with a folder. Just one. I don't need theater. Brenda stood to speak. Glass raised. Voice sweet. Harold would want us united. Brenda, I said quietly. Just her name. The room turned. I opened the folder. I laid the pages out, one by one, like I'd practiced for no one. The check. My inheritance check. Endorsed in my name. I never signed it. The deed. Our father's house. Signed over to you. Dated 5 days after he died. Megan went white. I laid down the witness statement. Megan swore she watched me sign. She watched nothing. Then the last page. The one from the bank's fraud unit. The return check. Flagged. Stamped forgery confirmed. I slid it across the table until it stopped in front of Brenda. The bank had called her 3 days before. She'd called me 27 times that night. Crying. Begging. I hadn't picked up once. The records were already filed. Brenda's hand shook above the page. Ellen, you don't understand. I understand the dates, I said. A notary stamped this 16 days after his license died. A man can't sign a house away after his own funeral. And you called it sharing. Her composure cracked in front of everyone. I did it for this family, she said, standing, the chair scraping back. He left you everything. It wasn't fair. The room was silent. She'd said it out loud. To all of them. It wasn't sharing, I said. It was theft. And it's documented. Brenda had no answer. Her hands fell to her sides. No one moved to defend her. The whispers she'd planted turned, all at once, back toward her. I gathered my pages. I didn't raise my voice once. I walked out into the cold. The night air touched my face. I breathed all the way down, for the first time in weeks. The porch light was steady. So was I. What came after came on paper. The way it should. The bank's fraud referral went federal. Brenda was charged for the forged endorsement. The void deed was struck down in a state court. The house came back to me. Every record straight. Megan faced her own quiet exposure. She finally hired her own lawyer, instead of her mother's lies. And Callaway, the state notary board, pulled his commission for good. The two-family pattern meant the district attorney took it from there. Discretion, it turned out, had a date he couldn't explain. I didn't keep the house for myself. Harold's home became something better. I started a small free service for other heirs. I helped them check the dates on what they're handed, before someone like Brenda gets there first. The file I built found the earlier family too. I made sure they finally knew. I spent my whole life counting quietly, never being thanked for it. And I learned that patience isn't weakness. The truth doesn't need volume. It only needs a record and someone willing to read it. If you've been carrying something heavy, and quietly put it down the right way, not with noise, with truth. I keep Harold's ring on my finger still. Some evenings I turn it once, in the quiet house that's mine again, not anxious now, just remembering the man who taught me. People forget, but paper remembers, and I remember everything. If this story moved you, tell me in the comments. What would you have done in Ellen's place? If you believe quiet people deserve justice too, give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it tonight. Subscribe to Betrayal Diaries for a new story of betrayal and quiet justice every week. And tap the screen now to watch another one right here. I'll see you in the next story.